I'm a journalist, and back in 2009, I was a reporter for Politica Daily, and together with a group of fellow journalists at Politica, we reported that we were being censored and that we were under a lot of pressure from our editors not to write about certain things meaning the government. And all this came to nothing, basically. We had reported this to our editors, the managers of Politica Daily, both the Serbian owner of Politica, the government of Serbia, and the German co-owner, VATS, Westdeutsche Allgemeine Zeitung. The only reply we got was from VATS, which sent us a letter saying that they are aware of political pressures on journalists in Politica, but there's nothing they can do about it since the editorial policy is in the hands of the Serbian co-owner, meaning the government of Serbia. In this process, we also found out that there were layoffs planned and that we were at the forefront of the list of journalists who were going to be laid off, and that as part of the process, Politica had hired a company called Autorska Agencija, and that all regular staff at Politica, so like every contributor, every journalist working without a contract, meaning a full contract, a full paid position, he had to sign a contract with Autorska Agencija, and it turned out that this company was co-owned, that a shareholder in the company was the Prime Minister, Mirko Cvetković, which was a clear conflict of interest since the government owned 50% of Politica and the Prime Minister's company had a deal with Politica. And so apart from us blowing the whistle on censorship, we also blew the whistle on this conflict of interest. And so initially we, with our complaints of censorship, we went internally first. Then we filed an external report about the conflict of interest to a parliamentary board, which was supposed to oversee any situations arising from the conflict of interest. And then we went public. But, you know, nothing happened. Politica went on its course of laying us off. In this process, we realized that there was no safe place for whistleblowers in Serbia, and that corruption was being underreported. And so an idea came that we should launch a website dedicated to supporting whistleblowers and to investigating corruption. And so in 2010, we were laid off. And on January 1st, or December 31st, 2009, we were laid off, and we started working on launching Pištaljka, which launched in July 2010. And since then, we've managed to make Pištaljka sort of a safe haven for whistleblowers by investigating their tips, publishing articles based on tips from whistleblowers, publishing interviews with whistleblowers, organizing events where whistleblowers could speak. And also from 2014, we've been providing free legal services to whistleblowers. We currently have 5 lawyers working with Pištaljka, providing free legal advice, free court representation, and I can say that we've been successful in our mission. First of all, we managed to successfully advocate for the adoption of the whistleblower protection law, which was adopted in 2014. and we have successfully defended more than 30 whistleblowers who have received court protection and who have, with this combination of journalism and legal expertise, we have managed to stop the retaliation against them and have their reports investigated officially, and though not to the extent that we would want, some officials who have retaliated against whistleblowers and who have engaged in corrupt behavior have been sentenced to, let's say, there were some prison sentences, but most of them were suspended prison sentences.
And you also give advice over pištaljka to possible whistleblowers in Serbia. Do you have many people contacting you?
In the past 6 years, we've provided more than 2,000 pieces of legal advice. So overall, I'd say that we get, I think, well, maybe several dozen people contacting us every month. Not all of them need legal advice, but those who do, we make sure that everything they send us, the documents pertaining to retaliation against them for blowing the whistle on irregularities, is minutely read and analyzed, so we can offer the best possible advice. And this has been successful, and I think more and more people learn about pištaljka and the services we offer. The more whistleblowers will come forward, and more irregularities will be addressed.
Can you give me some examples what whistleblowers did in Serbia in the past years?
It was thanks to whistleblowers that a number of corrupt acts have been uncovered. For example, we're closely following, and we have been for the past 4 years almost, the story of a whistleblower from a small town in central Serbia called Rača, who had filed a criminal complaint relating to the construction of a wastewater treatment facility. At least 600,000 euros were misspent there, and so in 2016, after failing to get any response from officials, this whistleblower turned to pištaljka, and we were able to investigate his report, publish several articles about it, and also he, with our lawyer's assistance, he managed to get response from the prosecutor's office, and we're pushing this further by insisting that the local government finally does something about this, because it's threatening not just the whistleblower, who, by the way, was he was fired from the municipality where he is working now, and we managed to get a court order to get him reinstated, and so his the retaliation stopped. But we are trying to push the local government to do something about the abuse of public funds, because the lack of the water treatment facility in this small town is affecting not just the whistleblower, as I said, but also the whole community. We had a few months ago a situation where because there's no clean water, and in the local kindergarten, children drink water from bottles. A teacher in the kindergarten gave a 2.5-year-old girl a bottle containing disinfectant. So the girl drank it, and before she realized this was disinfectant, and she threw up. Already the disinfectant caused some damage to her throat, and she was rushed to the hospital. And so it's, corruption is affecting people's lives. I mean, children's lives. So this is a situation that I don't think Rača is a lone example in this. I think this covers the whole country, and there are situations where we have to, as a society, we need to rely on whistleblowers and create a safe environment for them, so they can help the whole community move forward.
Well, exactly. One case that also became internationally famous is the Krušik case.
Yes.
Can you tell us something more about it?
So for us, it started with an anonymous tip in December 2018. And this was a tip from someone saying that they had evidence of corruption at the Krušik arms factory. And so we continued our communication anonymously. We didn't know who the source was, but we started receiving documents from this source. And because it takes time to verify, how we do things is we don't publish original documents. In, let's say, 95% of cases, we don't. We only publish when it's safe for the whistleblower. And so it takes a while, because we send freedom of information requests so we can get hold of these documents officially, so that we can protect the whistleblower. Because if we publish original documents, there may be some sign, or it can be traced back to the whistleblower. And also because when we file freedom of information requests and we investigate corruption, the public institution that gets our request does not know whether we have a source, a whistleblower in the institution, or is this our own investigation. So it serves to protect the whistleblower, basically. And so it took us a few months to check everything, to verify the documents, and to get answers from the institutions. So the first article we published in June 2019. Before us, so we found out later that the same source had contacted Birn, and Birn had published a story about corruption in Krušik a few months before we were even contacted by the source. And so we continued investigating, but it appears, and we only found out this in October, that the person behind this anonymous account had been arrested. And so we offered legal help to this whistleblower, Alexander Radomirović, through his sister. But for some reason, they didn't accept it. And so he was, and then we found out, because he said in an interview that he had contacted Pišteljka, and then he even said in one interview that the nickname he had used in our communication, and so he was released from detention after public outcry, and the prosecutors are investigating him instead of investigating the corruption at Krušik. But I think there won't be an indictment against Aleksandar Radomirović because I think the government does not want to make this into a full-blown court case where more things will come to light about Krušik. So I think that at one point after the election, Aleksandar Radomirović will be told that there are no elements of any criminal actions in what he did. But I must stress that it's because Aleksandar Radomirović said that he had contacted Birn first, then Pištaljka, and then Krik. That nothing Serbian journalists did could have landed him in prison. I think the fact that he was arrested a few days after the Bulgarian journalist Diljana Gajtandžijeva started publishing documents, including passports of Americans who were in Krušik, signing contracts and arranging the deals for arms sales to the Middle East. I think it just shows that it might not even have been Serbian government who were trying to find out who the source of documents was and the rest, the whistleblower. I can see why the American government would want such a source to be silenced because when leaks of passports of American citizens started being published, I think that may have made the American government nervous as well as the Serbian government because the Americans were organizing this arms trade to the Middle East, and the Serbian government looked bad by allowing this to continue. So I think this the fact that Aleksandar Radomirović was not arrested for disclosing information about corruption in Krušik to Birn and Pištaljka, but that he was arrested a few days after the passports of American citizens were published, I think proves that there's one more layer that hasn't been so much discussed in Serbia.
How many cases of whistleblowing are registered annually in Serbia? Do you have some numbers?
No, one of the issues with the Serbian whistleblower protection law is that there is no overall statistics. Pištaljka has its own statistics, and we cover the cases where people turn to us, and the cases where we know there are whistleblowing cases from an attorney, for example, who had contacted our legal team to seek advice. The only statistic is the court statistic, and for 2019, the court statistic records 30 more court cases than in 2018. But the thing with the court statistic is that one whistleblower may have 3 court cases. For example, they file an interim relief request with the higher court, and then they start a labor lawsuit. And for example, the whistleblower wins the labor lawsuit, but then the employer appeals the verdict, and then all these are 3 numbers in the court statistic, when in fact it's only one whistleblower. So the court statistic is not very reliable, and we're trying to create a better form of statistic, including not only court cases, but also cases of external whistleblowing where a whistleblower turns to a public institution. And the Ministry of Justice is supposed to keep a detailed statistic of external whistleblowing but they don't have the capacity to do this, and so instead they turn to us for they turn to Pishtelka for information, and also I think there should be a comprehensive statistic on internal whistleblowing, because we don't know how many internal proceedings were taken upon tips from whistleblowers and how the employers acted upon these tips.
Are whistleblowers protected in Serbia legally and by state? And what are the regulations?
So Serbia has a whistleblower protection law, which was adopted in 2014, started being implemented in 2015. And I can speak from experience of Pishtelka providing legal aid to whistleblowers. I think it's very effective because interim relief gives the whistleblower a fighting chance to survive. In 8 days, which is the legal limit, a court needs to decide upon a request for interim relief, meaning the whistleblower goes back to the position where they were before. They were retaliated against either by the employer firing them or moving them to a lower position. And this is working just well in Serbia. We have cases where courts acted and provided interim relief to whistleblowers in a matter of 2 days. And so the whistleblower goes back to the previous position. They receive their salary and can continue fighting to basically be heard and have their tip investigated properly.
Did Pishtelka had problems because you are supporting whistleblowers? And if yes, what kind of problems?
So I mentioned the case of the town of Racha. We are currently being sued by a local councilman in Racha, but this local councilman is also an official with the ruling Serbian Progressive Party, and he's also one of the chief directors at the Corridors of Serbia public enterprise, which is in charge of constructing highways in the country. So he has a number of positions, and he's famous for switching parties every couple of years. And now he's in the Serbian Progressive Party, and he's suing us over our articles detailing how the local government and he himself were denying any sort of responsibility for the abuse of public funds in the municipality. And so this is the one form of pressure. We also had our website attacked through DDoS attacks when we published a story about Nikola Petrović, who was at the time head of an important state-owned electricity company. And so yes, and there were cases where I myself or Pishtelka were being labeled as either pro-government or anti-government elements, and so this, although somebody labeling you this or that, this sort of discreditation, you get used to as a journalist, but when it happens on the scale that happened to us like 6 months ago, and you have to dedicate like 2 or 3 days to fight off these allegations, then it distracts you from the work you're doing and assisting whistleblowers.